So I'm here to you today to talk about publishing a book. It's a question I get asked all the time as I prepare to publish my very second book, Little Pocket of Love. So I'm going to talk about 3 different topics today: finding a publisher, the whole design and process and being involved, and number 3, the cost as well. So first up, I'm going to talk about my own story because it's probably the one that I know best. And I can't say that it's the same for every single author out there. So this is just how I came to publish my first book, Broken Love, and how I now come to publish my second book. And of course, my mother has 3 books as well. So my story started back when I was 15. It was 2005, and I sadly lost my brother Marcus. And at the time, loads of books came to the house for mum, and they were all books about grief and loss and how to deal with it. What I found was that the language in them was far too difficult for me. I was 15 years of age, and I just couldn't understand what exactly was. I couldn't understand the books. Basically, they're written by psychologists and therapists, and I just found the language really difficult to understand. So I remember back then saying to my mum, one day I'm going to write a book about grief and loss in a language that's very simple, true from the heart, and just exactly what I was feeling and what I was going through. So I guess I already had the story. Over the next coming years, I constantly wrote loads of diaries, exactly what I was going through, every single feeling, emotion, and this went on for many, many years. It was then in roughly 2015 when I met with Book Hub Publishing. My mother was publishing books with them, and I approached them and I said, this is my idea. Now at the time I didn't have a book written, but I did have all these diaries, and I did have some blog posts that I'd written about my own experience with grief. So I guess the publishing company could get an idea of my style of writing as well. Now I know for some people, they write a book first and then they send it to publishers. So every process, as I said, is different. But for me, I told them my story, what I had, what my idea was, and they said, absolutely yes, let's go for it. Now I must say, before my mother even published her books, I started sending my ideas out to loads of different publishing houses all over Ireland, and pretty much none of them replied. I think I got one email back saying, oh yeah, it's a nice idea, but maybe work on it a bit more and then come back to me. So that was my experience with the bigger publishing houses. Book Hub Publishing is an independent, kind of indie style publishing house. And I have to say, I'm so glad that I went with them, because for me, it's been a really hands-on experience. So that brings me on to my second point when it comes to, I guess, writing the book, design and cover. So I had a date, a target that I had to reach to submit my book. And I sat down with my publishers and I spoke about everything, chapters, what I wanted to include, and where exactly the book was going from start to finish. So then in the month of January in 2018 I sat down and I just put all the book together. I got all my old diaries and I just sat down each day after work. I had to have a really tight schedule to make sure that I got the book completed. I think having a deadline, of course, always helps as well. Then when it came to the cover design, I always knew exactly what I wanted in my head. Purple is a colour that is associated with grief, and butterfly is something that is a symbol of someone who's passed away. So this is basically what I had in my head all along. I sent all my ideas to the publishers and they sent it on to the designers, and there was a lot of toing and froing and over and back. But one thing I can say is that my heart and soul went into that cover. It is me. It is everything I wanted. And I just had the support of my publishers as well, and the designers, and they listened to every word I said, which is why I loved being with them, because it meant that I feel like I had full creative control over what I wanted. Everything from the font inside the book to the last page to pretty much everything inside the book is me from start to finish. And that is what I really, really wanted. And when I physically got the book for the first time, I just really felt a sense of pride. So thirdly, cost. This is a question that gets asked an awful lot, and about the cost of books. There are so many different elements when it comes to having your book printed. There's the publishers, there's the editors, the design team, there's the printers, and then of course the book itself. Now, the book can come in a hardback copy. It can also come in ebook and audiobook as well. So there's so many different elements that can make up the entire package when it comes to publishing a book, and it can cost anywhere in 4 figures. So yes, it is a costly thing, but you know what? It is something that is so worth it. And then how you can make money back is through workshops, seminars, and giving talks as well. There you have it. Thank you so much. And if you have any questions at all, my DMs are open, so feel free to ask me anything, and I'll chat to you soon. Thanks.